So this is a short talk called Sommerfeld usurps authority from Einstein for relativity, question mark. As pointed out in a previous video, Einstein's 1905 paper on special relativity was changed into a different theory by Sommerfeld when it was translated into English. And this is from Wikipedia saying who Sommerfeld is. He was a German theoretical physicist. So Einstein says things like this, quote, "Since the mathematicians have invaded the theory of relativity, I do not understand it myself anymore." End of quote. And that leads some people to think Einstein was no good at mathematics, but other people try to defend him and say that he was just joking. So you need to look at where the quote comes from, and it comes from Sommerfeld. So looking at what Sommerfeld has to say about Einstein and Einstein's relativity. This is the source. It's an article by Sommerfeld in this book. The book's called Albert Einstein, Philosopher, Scientist, and it collects various articles talking about Einstein. But the one I'm looking at is Sommerfeld's. So this is what Sommerfeld says. He says, when later on Minkowski built up the special theory of relativity into his world geometry, Einstein said on one occasion, "Since the mathematicians have invaded the theory of relativity, I do not understand it myself anymore." But soon thereafter, at the time of the conception of the general theory of relativity, he readily acknowledged the indispensability of the four-dimensional scheme of Minkowski. So the context in which Einstein was saying that quote, "Since the mathematicians have invaded," that is when he was referring to what Minkowski had done. And this is what Wikipedia has to say about Minkowski. He's a German mathematician, and he came up with the idea of combining space and time into four-dimensional space, and that's called Minkowski space-time. And Einstein adopted that into his special theory of relativity. So going back to what Sommerfeld says, when Einstein is saying, "Since the mathematicians have invaded the theory of relativity, I do not understand it myself anymore." So Einstein in that time was not liking the direction that relativity took with Minkowski. And I think maybe Sommerfeld took this as an excuse to take over being an authority on relativity over Einstein, question mark. And hence why he thinks he can change the theory from what was originally written to be in German to be something different when translated into English. Then Einstein must have just passively gone along with the change, question mark, i.e. Sommerfeld was usurping authority for relativity behind the scenes, leaving Einstein as still the publicly perceived authority. And I think of this in terms of moving goalposts. Theory, it just kept being amended, and it was amended from a very early stage. When translated from German into English, it was amended. So as I pointed out in a previous video, the path was along the lines Einstein's theory in 1905 in German no mention of it being a different theory to Newtonian physics. 1915, Einstein with general relativity. 1919, Einstein becomes famous due to Eddington's astronomical observations, and there was then impetus to translate Einstein's papers from German into English. Einstein 1905 paper translated into English, but now with the changes of opinion that happened between 1905 and 1919. So Einstein's theory becomes a different theory to what it was in 1905. Einstein flexible in his thinking, allowing the theory to be modified, or he was passive about things, and didn't properly understand the theory, because maybe it was not due solely to him. And this is a reminder from that previous video that these footnotes are now in the English translation of 1905 paper by Einstein, and they were not in the original German paper, and it's something that Sommerfeld changed the theory with. And so that's the end of this little talk, and it's possible that Sommerfeld was thus usurping the mathematical side of Einstein's relativity behind the scenes, and just leaving Einstein as the public authority on the subject. But when it came to actually doing the theories, math and so forth, Einstein was no longer being allowed to be the authority on it. Thank you. The end.